God loves you. I'm remembering back to a time in my life when I had what's called, in the church world, it's called an accountability partner. It's someone who you know, not necessarily from your own church, but it might be. Just somebody who you enjoy seeing, enjoy spending time with, who is a believer, kind of in the same way that you are. They're not a pastor, they're not someone who's at a different place in their faith than you are. And you get together however often. I don't recall with this particular friend, Jim, and usually in these stories I will use a different name than the real person, and sometimes even a different gender, just ways to, you know, give them cover so that people who know me might not know who it is that I'm talking about. But Jim is essentially the only regular accountability partner I've ever had, and we met for a number of years doing that, usually at the same place. It'd be we'd meet for dinner, usually on Tuesday night. And I even remember the restaurant that we went to more often than any other. It was this place, I don't think they're in business anymore. I don't know how long they were in business, but it was a great restaurant. It was a soup and salad place. And it was, you know, one of those bars. So it was called Let Us Surprise You. You know, there's the salad and the soup reference in the title. But we would go there or somewhere else on a Tuesday, sit down and eat, chat about stuff that was going on. But then we would repair, usually to a private place-ish, you know, parking lot in one of our cars. And we would talk about the more serious things that might be going on. Ask for, you know, prayer requests and pray with one another. Having an accountability partner is just that. It's a way to maintain an accountability in your Christian life. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. Probably something I should do again. I would need to find someone who was willing to do that, but the reason is it's easy enough to be, as it were, a Christian if you attend a church every week and, you know, give some of your income into the offering plate, sit in the same spot in the church, say hello to the same people, maybe even go to a Sunday school class, maybe even teach a Sunday school class. Most of the people in that church are going to say that's one of the most outstanding Christian men or Christian women that I know. But you need some more accountability than that. I need more accountability than that, because it's so easy to just do the rote stuff and not talk to someone who may be in a similar place, but I can talk to about what my issues are, what my concerns are, what I'm going through, what I'm having trouble with, what I've got questions about, and get maybe another perspective, maybe just some encouragement, maybe just a listening ear, but always someone who's willing to pray with me about that situation. I recall one time, and this was, you know, in my younger years, I was in my 30s, and It was a Saturday night. I mean, I'd love to go out and spend time with friends, go to parties, go see a movie. I was usually up late on the weekends, but this particular Saturday, for some reason, I felt like I was tired and I needed to go to bed. But before I went to bed, I'm actually sitting in bed. I'm thinking it was like 8:30 Saturday evening, maybe 9 or 9:30. 9:30 at the time would have seemed like that was way early to be going to bed, but we'll say it was 9:30. So I start praying, and the things that Jim and I had talked about that week came to mind. So I start talking to God about the things that Jim was concerned about, that were on his mind, his heart, his issue list, as it were. And I was praying, I don't want to say fervently, but it was more than just casual. It was, I was praying specifics about how things could improve for Jim, what God could do, not like I'm telling God what he can do to make things better, but to improve Jim's character, his success in these situations that he might have been going through. No idea what they were. So, I prayed, went to bed, went to sleep, didn't think about it again until Tuesday rolled around. And Jim and I met. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Jim and I met, and he asked me at some point during that evening, during our regular quiet time together, he said, "Steve, what were you doing Saturday night?" At about 9:30. I said, well, and it's kind of embarrassing. I said, usually I'm up late doing stuff, out with people or whatever. I said, but this past Saturday night, I went to bed early and I was in bed by 9:30. I said, in fact, about that time, I was praying, and praying specifically for you. And Jim looked at me and he said, I thought so. I could feel your prayers. He said, that's why I asked. And I just remember being terrified. My prayers were a one-way thing between me and God. It was, I'm going to say at worst, a rote, perfunctory exercise that may not make a change, may not have made a change in anything, much less my life. On the other side, maybe it was a way to maintain that connection, so God knows I'm thinking about him and giving things over to him genuinely. Not like my prayers were false or anything, but at that moment, I realized the great responsibility that comes with prayer. And it scared me. I didn't want that responsibility. I didn't want for my prayers to matter. I didn't want them to make a difference. I didn't want to know that if I didn't pray, the lack of those prayers would be felt. So I stopped praying. The responsibility was more than I wanted to handle. I mean, I didn't stop praying altogether. I still pray. I picked it back up and I realized the responsibility is important, and I do need to take it. I do need to grab the prayer bull by the horns. But it means I need to be serious about my prayer. Not just pray, you know, the regular stuff over and over, to be more specific, more seeking, more conversational with God in it, so that I'm hearing what He's telling me as well as telling Him what's on my mind. I think the point is, anything that you do that's going to have an impact, that's going to be significant, that's going to change your world, or perhaps even the world around you, means taking responsibility, owning it, and following through on it. Now that I think about it, there are some other things that I need to pray for myself and others. And I'm going to make a commitment to do that today. I'll see you next time.